It's bright and sunny spring. We're going to check in on the crypto space and Bitcoin. Not a ton going on, but one thing we can say with certainty, volatility is going to pick up the second half of this week. I'll tell you how I know that as we check in on the charts. Learn how to trade stocks, crypto, and hype sectors with a global chat room led by professional traders, as well as daily live streams at chartguys.com. All right, so this isn't going to be a very in-depth stream just because we don't have a ton of stuff to check in on. So feel free to ask any questions in the chat room or request anything as we go. But first things first, the NASDAQ. So bulls attempting to buy the dip today. And pretty much this needs to be the daily high or low if the NASDAQ bulls are going to be able to shape up an equilibrium. And if they do, we'll have a tightening range into the end of the week. And then we will likely see volatility when this tightening daily range breaks. And so we have the same thing on Bitcoin right now, just a daily equilibrium. There's a number of things we can say about that. Number one, we knew to be scouting an equilibrium. Why? Because we had significant volatility in both directions. And as you've heard me say 150 times, if you've been following along on this YouTube journey, after you see significant volatility in both directions, you scout equilibriums and you're going to be right far more often than not. So that means we look for an initial bounce high. Once that's set, we anticipate a higher low. We had another lower high over the weekend, especially with a holiday weekend, when we know there's going to be less trading volume and less volatility. Generally speaking, you can have even more confidence that an equilibrium is going to be forming. And so bulls are not proving anything. That's another statement we can also say. We are still in a daily downtrend. If anything is going to shift, we have to break the daily lower highs. We've been setting daily lower highs ever since we topped out at 98,000. It's just been lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. So we know that with the correlation in the NASDAQ that Bitcoin has, bulls need the NASDAQ to set a daily high or low. And Bitcoin has to get over both of these levels. We'll just call it 71,000 and 72,200. Got to break both of those levels on the same move, ideally. Because if you only break one, you have a lack of confidence. The bears can pile in and try and defend resistance. And even then, we have to remind ourselves that would be a little short-term win for the bulls for sure, but it's a long road. When you have downtrends on every time frame, monthly, weekly, daily, it's a long road to shift them, because if you break bull on this daily chart, you zoom out and you scout a weekly lower high to be a result of that bounce. And we have to go back and remind ourselves, one of the Chart Guys members, Santa, has been highlighting the similarities to a 2022 dump and bounce that took place back in May. And that was this one. So extreme drop. Similar on the daily RSI, actually similar on the weekly RSI. This time was a bit more extreme on the daily, but we had the solid bounce. We had a tightening sideways range. It broke bull with no follow through. That was a weekly bear flag, and that resulted in a lower low. And at that point in time, the NASDAQ was a lot weaker than it is right now. The NASDAQ was hitting 52-week lows when this was happening. So there are some differences, but my point is, even if this equilibrium breaks bull, you got to follow through. Because if you break bull and get up to 75,000 and then go right into daily consolidation, we're just going to be talking about a weekly bear flag at that point. But we know that this sideways range is going to break within the next few days. We've got 3 trading days left in the week after today. And so it's probably going to break towards the end of this week. And the burden is definitely on bulls, because again, you look at this chart and you put on your bear glasses, whether or not you're shorting, whether or not you're long, imagine you're a bear. Do you have anything to worry about at all? The answer is no. You break these levels and that's the first, hey, maybe things are shifting. But if you don't break those levels, nothing changes and the bears remain confident. So long story short, prove it, bulls. Break the lower highs. Hey, NASDAQ, prove it. Set the daily high or low, and at least keep tightening up. Ethereum, prove it. So we've got the same exact thing. We've got the tightening daily equilibrium, low, high of the bounce, higher low, lower high. Again, my initial target for my bounce trade was daily EMA 12. And that was if we were just going to head straight up to that level. But again, it wasn't a big enough initial bounce. I took enough profit, said, all right, I need another leg up. If this trade's going to be worthwhile, I'll either stop out, break even, or I'll have a solid 15, 20% win. And now just waiting for it to play out. It's either going to stop me out or we're going to get 2,200 plus, and then I'll look to take some more profit. But it's sideways. And ETHBTC broke bear with no follow through. But again, just like Bitcoin's daily chart, ETHBTC has been setting daily lower highs very consistently. Nothing changes if we just set another daily lower high. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Is this time different or not? So again, as I said last stream, I don't have high conviction in the bulls right now. I had high conviction to position myself in low risk, high reward based on my edge playing oversold bounces. And even if it's a 20% chance it breaks bull, if I can position and get risk free, it's worth an attempt. But now it's just a waiting game. In terms of crypto stocks, everything's doing similar things. CRCL does stand out. We'll look at that in just a moment. Relative strength, but BMNR, equilibrium, MSTR, equilibrium. What's Coin doing? Coin had earnings, so it's a little different. Weekly stair step on Coin is breaking bull. A little bit of relative strength in Coin. And CRCL relative strength. How can we tell there's relative strength just by glancing at it? Well, technically we confirm the daily uptrend. We have the higher low and higher high. And Bitcoin clearly is not doing that. And the NASDAQ is not doing it. So we can say CRCL is stronger than Bitcoin and it's stronger than the NASDAQ over the last week and a half of trading. And so we can say CRCL bulls are positioned well if the Bitcoin equilibrium breaks bull. If it breaks bear, CRCL is going to be a bear flag because it'll be a trend change with zero follow through. But just oversold bounces trying to play out on some of these names. And again, you look at this weekly chart and we can bounce another 20% and still the bulls have tons of work to do if anything's going to shift. So it's a long, slow road to change trends. That's just like the bulls enjoy. When you're in an uptrend on every time frame, the bulls always get the benefit of the doubt. You lose the daily uptrend, fine, zoom out, scout a weekly high or low. It's the exact opposite. It takes a lot of time and effort to change trends one time frame at a time. NASDAQ hourly consolidation just starting. Bitcoin, how are we comparing? Weak, relative weakness. How can I say relative weakness? Because we're not over the 9 a.m. high. We just failed. And the NASDAQ did get over that high. All right, I'm reading chat. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for clicking like. Again, we're still running our free trial. Probably another, I forget the exact end date, but at least a few more days this week. Probably through this week. But just go to chartguys.com. 2-week free trial. If you have interest, we still cover crypto, but definitely a lot more action elsewhere if you have interest broadening your horizons. LGHL. So breaking the daily lower highs, that's a good start, and now you must confirm a daily uptrend. When's the last time this name confirmed a clear daily higher low and higher high? We had a dinky one here. So we can say it's been almost 3 months since we've confirmed a daily uptrend. For me personally, I look at a chart like this, and because of my penny stock experience, I know this chart, this company has a lot of dilution, convertible debt, the share structure is junk. I know a lot fundamentally about this company solely based on this chart. And it's a screaming red flag for anything more than a very short-term trade. Because when you have a company, And again, just Google chart guys dilution. There's a whole video about it. But when you have a company that has significant dilution and convertible debt and has gone through numerous reverse splits, you've just got people, you've got number one, only bag holders. And number two, you've got companies that loaned the company money with shares to sell. And they get the shares at a discount and they don't care. You know, if I get shares when the stock price is $1.50 and the company gives it to me at $1 because I loaned the company $10 million so they can pay their staff to keep running this stock into the ground, that I don't care if I'm selling at, you know, $1.60. If I got them at $1, you get my point. You have to understand the fundamentals around share structure, authorized shares, outstanding shares, dilution, convertible debt. Nice green day though, nice volume. Volume's pretty pathetic actually. Your average daily volume's here like $500,000. That's nothing. Can definitely see a bear rally in Bitcoin over the next few weeks, but the bulls got to prove it. Definitely nothing telling us a cycle low is here. I'll look at the metals in just a minute. Let's stay on crypto for now. For me, 6 thoughts on Bitcoin, 6-month EMA 12. There's not enough holds, whether you're on log or not. There's not enough data or holds for me to care. Like, okay, we held it once and then we closed right below it once, and I don't care. Like, give me something like CNDS. Joey's been interested in this name. CDNS 3-month time frame. Give me something that's held an EMA 12 for 15 years and has held it 8 times. Okay, that's very meaningful for me. But like once or twice doesn't really cut it. And so for me, why I cared about the Bitcoin monthly EMA 12 as a big shifter is just because of how many times we did hold it. It was really only 2 distinct times, but look at all the candles within there. There's 3 or 4 candles there. There's a couple candles there. And so that for me was a big shifter when we lost it. What I do care about more, and I posted this on Twitter, is Bitcoin divided by the NASDAQ. That 6-month chart matters to me. Why? Because in the history of Bitcoin, we have always held 6-month EMA 12 of this relative strength chart. And so if we lose it, and again, it might take all year for us to get that information, but if we lose this, that's a big red flag for Bitcoin for me. Because again, we're just constantly getting information all this bull cycle. Why Bitcoin over any other risk-on asset? And again, fundamentally, you can say, control your own financial destiny. Okay, I understand that concept of why Bitcoin's attractive to some people. But you have to understand that for most people, they just care about if the number's going up or not. And it's always just a game for money and for attention. Is my money better off here or is it better off here? And so if Bitcoin's just another risk-on asset and it's returning the same returns or less than other things, again, I just use myself as an example. I'm one little ant in this game. But if I'm not trading crypto actively anymore because I've got all these stocks, whether it's uranium stocks, quantum stocks, that are giving me way more volatility with 0 fees, I have no reason to be trading crypto. Crypto has to be giving me something that other markets are not giving me. And if Bitcoin loses this relative strength chart and continues to weaken against the NASDAQ, right now we're testing the lowest levels, the weakest that Bitcoin has been compared to the NASDAQ in the last 2 years almost. And so again, it will just be a big glaring, why be in Bitcoin over the NASDAQ or over something more volatile in the NASDAQ? So you got to hold this 6-month EMA 12 and see relative strength return to continue to get attention. XLE, definitely cautious for weekly consolidation in any of our major sectors that have been running straight up all year. Just a stair step at this point, so no red flags, but it's over 2 months of stair step. So we know weekly consolidation is inevitable, and we know a weekly high or low will then be the most likely scenario. I took a little more profit in Pepsi, which is an XLP name for the same thing. Just straight up, I'm not going to sit through weekly consolidation with entire positions. On to the metals real quick. Here's the metals. So gold did lose the 12-hour uptrend. That's the first little win for the bears in a while. So technically in a 12-hour downtrend. Technically still in a daily uptrend though. So dump, lower high, higher low, higher high, no follow through. I would view anything over 46.70 as another daily higher low. A bear is hoping that's a quick weekly lower high being set for a tightening weekly range. And that's definitely on the table as a possibility. So I like the 12-hour for clarity. The bulls had the 12-hour trend. Now the bears have it. And so the 12-hour downtrend is going to be our guide for the week until it shifts. And bigger picture, I care most about weekly EMA 12, which I've been talking about for 14 months or whatever it's been, as the long-term guide. Nothing changes if this is support. If we lose it, things are changing. Just like Bitcoin's monthly EMA 12, when we lost it, things change. There's so many examples. Again, EMA 12 rider, we got the whole webinar about it. Just Google chart guys, EMA 12 rider. But today, CMPS, psychedelic stock, had bullish data, big day. But look at 15-minute EMA 12. You hold it after the bell rings. You hold it again. You hold it a third time. As soon as you lose it, everything shifts. That is then the weakest period. It's full bull control. You lose your rider and say, oh, things are shifting. And then 2 hours of bear control. So not only do you get information with these EMA riders about the trend, about when to take some profit, but it very often is your glaring signal, hey, the character of this chart is shifting. And so for gold, that's going to be weekly EMA 12 for me. Silver's trying to shape up a daily inverse head and shoulders, but no sign of the daily high or low yet. We have had some pretty significant correlation between silver and the NASDAQ. So silver bulls definitely want the NASDAQ to set a daily high or low, so silver can try and set a daily high or low. Silver's close to losing weekly EMA 12, still battling for it. Again, we've been holding this a little bit less long, 8 months or so. If it was to act as support, how would you make an entry now? I'm not sure what we're talking about at this point, obviously, with the delay between chat and what I'm talking about. The only plays on Bitcoin or Ethereum are playing off of support. Again, if I didn't have my position, I wouldn't be looking to enter long just because I don't have high conviction that we break bull. It's a low risk attempt, but it's a clear downtrend. I'm only confident playing counter trend when I have my edge in my favor, which is extremes, capitulation, super stack, free fall. CWBHF is the strongest cannabis chart in a very weak sector. Bulls in full control, daily stair steps your guide. My one issue is the dollar volume is extremely low on a daily basis. You're putting up less than $1 million traded, which for me is nothing, but it's a clear uptrend, strong chart. Just stopped out of a little Netflix runner flip. Thanks, boy. Cucumber? Boise, UK. Boise, UK. AVAV. Is that a stock? Daily downtrend, or it's an equilibrium, but a daily downtrend. EMA 12, EMA 12, EMA 12, EMA 12. So battling that today. Low, lower high, double bottom pretty much. So if we do not break 277.92, we're just going to keep tightening up in an equilibrium. Burden is on bulls to break the daily lower highs and then try and form a longer term equilibrium. So definitely a decent spot for bulls to make a stand at this wall of support. But they've got to break this tightening daily range bull and get over that daily EMA 12. BCH had a nice bounce over the weekend. Got to hold this back test. So look at this wall. That's a wall. That's an inverse head and shoulders. Let's go to the 12-hour. I guess the daily's a little smoother. Inverse head and shoulders confirmed over the weekend on Friday. And now you got to hold this back test to keep that progress. The weekly bounce is already underway. The chart got a little choppy for me just because we broke support. Granted, with zero follow through. You know, it's a potential megaphone now. Resistance break, no follow through. Support break, no follow through. But we can say there's still relative strength to Bitcoin. We're positioned well if Bitcoin can break the daily equilibrium bullish. We know BCH BTC is up near the highs. So again, in terms of, you know, taking your pick from altcoins, this name is still, there are not many altcoins that have their BTC pairing at the highest levels in months. This name is years. Highest level in years. Almost 2 years. So that's significant. That does stand out. Now, if Bitcoin breaks bear, if Bitcoin bulls can't do anything, it's not going to matter a whole lot, and BCH USD will set a weekly lower high. But if you force me with a gun to the head to pick an altcoin to put my money in, BCH is among the top few because of how it has been performing relative to Bitcoin the last 3+ months. You got it, Josh. SEDG. SEDG trying to be a monthly bull flag. So monthly higher low is set. 28.21 is a must hold. And we got to get over 48.60 to confirm the monthly uptrend. Earnings are tomorrow. So this, I'd be watching this resistance where we just keep breaking with no follow through. But earnings are going to dictate. Earnings are going to dictate whether we head up towards recent resistance or head back down towards support. This daily chart definitely is choppy for me. I don't have conviction or clarity in it. We do have an uptrend, just no follow through. But again, it's going to be earnings here that dictate whether we go to the 40s or head back down to the low 30s. And that's tomorrow. QBTS. So these names are, Quantum is very correlated to what software has been doing. IONQ has earnings. No, not yet. But this sector has earnings in a week, and that's going to be a factor. But this is IONQ, the sector leader, and this is IGV, software stocks. Can you even tell that I'm changing the chart? No. Same chart. So QBTS has been a stronger quantum name, but it's still doing the same thing as well. The only way anything shifts here is if we hold 1692 and break 2152. But bigger picture, I'm still on log. So bigger picture, we're trying to hold monthly EMA 12, and these stocks have now pulled back 60% plus from their highs. I fumbled the quantum short by being a couple days too early, but just a slow bleed. And it's just a question of when does the slow bleed end into a monthly bounce, and it's not going to happen, in my opinion, without software finding a fear bottom. That's going to be the most important factor, in my opinion. And then we're just going to look for monthly lower highs. There's a lot of space for them. I've been keeping an eye on rare earth MP for a daily high or low, and it just hasn't been able to do it. Daily downtrend continues. Actually, I've been watching for a weekly high or low. We had our low, high of the bounce. We're scouting a higher low compared to 49.76, but bulls haven't been able to shape anything up. Maybe it's a 4-hour falling wedge now. So, simple statement, if MP is going to shape up a weekly higher low, it needs to be a 4-hour falling wedge. I took off extended hours just to get a little bit more clarity. That's how I would draw it, roughly speaking. Pretty much have to start a bounce tomorrow for us to keep the bear break, no follow through aspect of this chart. Because again, you confirm a downtrend, bear break, straight into a multiple day bounce. Bear break, it's got to go straight into a multiple day bounce if that falling wedge is going to stay viable. The other names, too volatile for me personally. CRML, USAR. USAR is trying for a 4-hour falling wedge. I am watching Uranium for a weekly higher low, CCJ. Uranium and rare earth have been trading very similarly. Need a green tomorrow. If we're green tomorrow, falling wedges in play, USAR and MP. PRE.L. What's that on the LSE? So doing better, but monthly higher low set. This is where I scout a monthly equilibrium. So low, high, monster move, you give back 50%. This is where I scout a monthly lower high. Looks like it's not really correlated to the other names I just looked at. So no sign of a monthly lower high, but just keep in the back of our minds, anything under 185 is a monthly lower high. That's the most likely scenario to tighten up. Jemmy. SMR. I stopped watching SMR. We'll go back to Jimmy in a second. Stopped watching SMR when it couldn't form a weekly high or low. Just a weekly downtrend. Bear flag confirmed. Lower high, lower low. Granted, no follow through, but this name fell off in a big way. It started showing relative weakness well before other uranium peers. And so, I look at a chart like this, I'm going to focus on CCJ, the sector leader that's still in an uptrend on all these major time frames. PSNO. So this to me is not attractive on the daily and weekly. This is a choppy sideways range. I want trending stocks. If you can trade range bound and just short resistance or sell resistance and buy off support, that's fine. But I would look at this chart and say, I'm not interested. Just because, I want just clear trends, not choppy, 5 months of choppy sideways. That's what the market's been doing to a certain degree, which is why I have not been trading as much. But in the short term here, got to break 904 if you're going to confirm a daily uptrend and keep this sideways range bound going. Bulls got to confirm that daily uptrend and break these weekly inside bars. Jemmy. Bullish RSI. So I don't ever use RSI divergence. That doesn't mean don't use it, but I never do. It's never a factor for me. But just keep it simple. If daily EMA 12 is resistant, or if we keep setting daily lower highs, nothing changes. Make the bulls earn your money. Don't try and nail the bottom. If a meaningful shift is going to take place, it can happen. You can enter 10, 15% off the lows and have it still be worthwhile. But trying to nail the bottom in something that's in blue sky, black dirt breakdown, I should say, all-time lows, downtrend on every single time frame. The odds are so stacked against you. If you ask me what's the worst chart to try and go long, it's a name that's hitting all-time lows. You know, maybe we can hit a bear break with no follow-through and try and reverse things in the short term here. That's definitely possible. But again, it's hitting all-time lows, 2 of the last 3 days. Wolf. Definitely one of these stronger names. Trying to get out of this sideways chop. Trying to hold this back test. So if daily EMA 12 is support, the bulls are hanging on. I don't like that double top. But the bear breaks have lacked follow through. I would just draw some trenches. There's our support trench. There's our resistance trench. And we're almost right back in the middle. So bulls are clinging on. It is still healthy and strong. And another name that would very much likely benefit if the NASDAQ bulls can set a daily high or low. Which is in worst case, worst shape, crypto or cannabis? Cannabis for sure. It's just been topped out and pulling back for longer. That's my protein. I'm just back from the gym. Yeah. Retracement size. I mean, I don't know. It depends on your time frame. I don't have a good answer. KRKNF. Weekly EMA 12 rider. Nothing changes if the bulls have it. That's a good one. Is that a metal name? Robot. Robot name. It's doing what the metals are doing. Gotta hold this though. If we drop down and break that 518 base, then we're likely losing weekly EMA 12 for the first time in 8 months or whatever. Ooh, that's a head and shoulders. That's a battle. Bulls are defending that neckline, but that is a head and shoulders trying to confirm. Should get an answer within a few days as to whether or not bulls are going to be successful. Definitely cautious. I bet a lot of stop losses. Monthly stair step. 3, 6, 10 months in a row. There's going to be a lot of stop losses on that 518 level. And if we break bear, we'll then look to monthly EMA 12. Do I have a tip for markets that are open 24/7 like crypto? Finds it difficult to know when the volatility will hit. Well, because we're so correlated to the broader market, the volatility is going to be centered around economic events. It's going to be the jobs numbers release at 8:30 a.m. on the mornings when that comes out. It's going to be CPI numbers. It's going to be the FOMC. So those events are where Bitcoin sees the volatility. So yeah, again, just another reason, it's turning into just another stock or just another sector. And you also know volatility is going to be around stock market open, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. For me, it's always EMA over simple moving average. I used to use simple moving average 10, 20, 50, 100, 200 from year 1 to year 7 of trading. And then I got into crypto 2017 and I said, forget all this noise. And I went EMA 12 and 26. And it's been that way for the last 8+ years. And no more simple moving averages for me. And I love it. It's so much better for me and my style. So much more useful. All right. Thanks again. Do good things. Daily equilibrium is going to break on Bitcoin within a couple of days. NASDAQ bulls must confirm an hourly uptrend into tomorrow to set that daily high or low. Burdens on bulls. Because if not, crypto still a bit weaker than the NASDAQ. All right, I'll do FLG just because Christopher didn't get one. Weekly EMA 12. Got the bull break. Lack of price history nearby. Potentially setting a daily lower high. So if that's the case, that's a must-hold level now, 1339. If you're pulling back tomorrow, you've got to form a higher low compared to that level. Similar to here. So this is just an elongated version over more time of the same thing. And they held the higher low. You got to hold that higher low. Just remind yourself, okay, long-term time frame, eventually we're going to set a long-term lower high. 3-month chart here, anything under 42.66 is a 3-month lower high, but don't got to worry about that as long as bulls have weekly EMA 12 as a guide. My style, I used to be all day trading for a decade. And then over the last 3+ years, I've been shifting more to swing trading. And I like it. It's going well. Less time intensive, less screen intensive. Okay. Thanks for tuning in.